The content of the Tandem radio program and website is intended for general information purposes only. It's not designed to provide listeners with specific and personal financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or other advice. The views expressed by show hosts, their guests, and callers are their own and should not be construed in any way as opinions of Tandem Radio or the Bridge FM network.
You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will take me into glory. Psalm 73:24. Welcome and good morning to Tandem Radio Live. This is your host, Glenn DeLakian, here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, welcoming not only our local but our regional and national listeners as well. Always excited. We're on the six FM stations that cover the New York, New Jersey area, and we also are on the internet live at tandemradio.com. You can listen there. I know many of you are listening there. We'd love to hear from you, no matter where you are, and but especially those from out of the country. It's always neat to get those emails and Facebook and so forth. But for those of you who are listening for the first time, our show is called The Good News on Business, and it's all about God's Word. And we have two goals on the shows. It's very simple. I tell my guests. Number one is we want people to know that God's Word applies to your business as well as the rest of your life also, and that the Holy Scriptures are filled with excellent, excellent wisdom on how to operate your business, run your business, and be successful not only in your business but in life in general. And number two, our goal is that our guests would leave us something that we could take to work with us on Monday and use in our day-to-day business to help us advance and succeed. So with that in mind, we're going to start with our scriptures. But before we do that, our title for the show today is Video Impacts Your Business. If you're wondering how video fits into your business, you need to listen today because you're going to find some unique ways, because our guest today is Robert Bucci, who's the president and founder of New Response Marketing, and he has some very unique insights on how people today use video in business. And if you're not using video in your business, you especially have to tune in or listen close, because you're going to hear some great stuff about how powerful video can be. And I even have a couple of stories that it's impacted my businesses as well. But let's start with our scriptures. Habakkuk 2:2. Then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. Matthew 13:3. Then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. And Galatians 4:18. It is fine to be zealous, provided the purpose is good. Galatians 4:18. So you're listening to Tandem Radio Live, and again, this is your host, Glenn DeLakian, here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our topic for today is Video Impacts Your Business. And I couldn't think of anybody better than my friend and business associate, Robert Bucci, who has New Response Marketing and many talents in video, and has, I know, impacted my businesses, and I've seen him impact other people's businesses. Robert, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Glenn. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Oh, no problem. It's good to have you. And why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? Just give a little background.
Oh, my goodness.
A little bit of background.
A little bit of background, okay. Originally, the corporate life started as a mechanical engineer, working in manufacturing, going through automation into IT systems. It was a long road, ultimately finishing up with being an IT security specialist. But what I realized looking back now, having increased in my walk with Jesus, is that I was filling space. I was doing my job. I wasn't feeling filled with the Spirit. And today, now, as being more in a position in the service industry, and having the feeling now and the knowledge of the Spirit working in me, God working through me, I think it's a great position for someone in a service industry to hold, because that allows you to look out to your customers, look out for your clients, and making sure that you're doing the best for them.
That is so important. So let's dig into that a little bit. You became out of school, I guess, you were a mechanical engineer working in that capacity, and then you stepped into IT from there?
For me, it was actually a natural progression. Mechanical engineering because of robotics and automation.
Okay.
And as you get more into that type of technology, more and more networking gets into it, and it just seemed like the path took me into IT.
Okay, so then you had this career in IT, and you were working with all of that has to do, and one day you decided to start your own business. How did that come about?
I'd like to say it was 100% my choice. The corporate world, as downsizing and things like that occur, What happened for us is that we began to have a business prior to the ending of my corporate career, but a business where we were marketing. We were the middleman for privately held mortgages. If you held a mortgage, or a note is the term, and you wanted to sell it, there is a market for that.
Right.
So what we did was matched up investors with note holders. The note holders are the hard people to find. Certainly, there's a way to mine that information manually from county records, but it was much easier to have them find us.
Right.
And that's where we began to investigate internet marketing, finding ways to use the internet so that people who are looking for ways to sell their note found us.
Wow.
And it was through this process of learning how to do that there was a group of people that we met, and together we all built this method for using video, get information out there, educate the target audience because they're looking for you.
Right.
And they make that connection with you. They understand that you have the information they're looking for. They know that they recognize this expertise, and they start reaching out for you.
And it's funny because our culture's changed now, and people who salesmen used to go out and look for people, things have turned. People are out looking for the proper experts, so they're not looking for sales, but they're looking for expertise, right?
Absolutely. They're looking for someone that they can trust in the knowledge that they have, and someone that they believe has their interest at heart.
And video takes them a long way into that. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. So then New Response Marketing was formed, right? And you started doing this thing with the notes and so forth. What was the next step in your transition?
The notes actually led to New Response Marketing.
Okay.
Economy made it tough for us to find investors. Actually, they tightened up their requirements on what they would buy.
Okay.
So what happened is that it turned out that was not going to be the business model for us anymore. However, the marketing method that came up out of that grew out of that business, is what was that became the marketable strategy. This method. There are many businesses I recognize that could use this method to help grow their influence in their local market, to build those relationships with their customer base, and that's how New Response Marketing was born.
So there you go, business owners. If you want to grow influence in your market, you're listening at the right time and in the right place. So, Robert, let's talk about that for a second. Tell us what New Response Marketing does, and we'll get into the details in the following segments. But tell us quickly, what does New Response Marketing do?
We specialize in internet video, basically finding ways to represent your company, your business, to your market in a way that they can grasp. It's not so much your commodity. In fact, what video does is it gets your market to see you as a person and the people behind your business, or the satisfied customers through testimonials on video, so that you are no longer a commodity. And it helps you so that you don't have to compete on price or on saying that you're better than your competition. The best way that video works for many industries is to represent the real you.
So, and I didn't mean to confuse you there. I know you can't see the studio right now, but I'm totally throwing Robert off, but that's okay. That's part of it. I like to keep my guests on their toes, right? But so New Response specifically is digging in and helping people from the video perspective understand how video can impact their business, especially out on the internet, would you say?
Absolutely. Now, the internet is the first place that businesses are seeing success with video, but as it becomes more and more of an understood method for business, they're seeing it more from also in the pre-sales and post-sales follow-up. There's even manufacturers are now seeing it as a tool to use to create compelling sales materials that they can send out to their reps and distributors. And I hope we get a chance to get into all of that.
No, we will, absolutely, because I think that's important, and I hope business owners are paying attention, because if you're in business, and like I said before, whether you're using video or if you're not using video, you need to be paying close attention today, because we can show you some insights that can impact your business immediately. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
So we have this world now that's so visual, right? We see all this visual impact, but yet I think that a lot of business owners who tend to be maybe a next generation of people, or the last generation of people, and not as tied into video, they see all this YouTube and they see all these things going on the internet, and they think that that's not for me, but yet in reality that's where business is going. Which
it is. It used to be that business has struggled with getting on the internet. But as they recognize the traditional forms of advertising, print and billboards and yellow pages and such, have not been performing the way that they used to, they needed to find new ways, and the internet was clearly the direction to go. But how do you learn or make your way through that morass of websites and keywords and pay-per-click advertising and such, where what they found now is that with an inexpensive camera, a free YouTube account, and a little bit of knowledge about how to title your video or put a description on your video, they're starting to get that market representation. Google wants to show you off if you have the correct information on video.
And that's so important because if you haven't considered video, I like what you just said about having a camera and having the right title and those types of things. I know that's what New Response Marketing is all about, helping people get there. And I'm always amazed how cost effective you put packages together. And I want to make clear to our audience that this is not something for Fortune 500 companies, although they could benefit from it, and they are. The average business guy who even has a little mom and pop shop can actually get involved in this type of marketing and have a video or two out there or more that could impact your business immediately. So I'm glad you're here today, Robert. Again, our theme is Video Impacts Your Business. We're with Robert Bucci, who's the president of New Response Marketing and has a wealth of knowledge in the video field and in the internet and how they tie together, and most importantly, how they impact your business. You're listening to Tandem Radio Live. Again, we're here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You need to check out tandemradio.com. Tandem, tandemradio.com. Right there, that is a resource that will lead you to links, like links to New Response Marketing and our guest today, and to a whole bunch of potential businesses that can help you, especially our sponsors who are Christian business owners who have a lot to offer. We also have advice columns, and there's a link there to my business column that is printed every month in various magazines. And you can also send your requests and questions to info@tandemradio.com, info@tandemradio.com, where we'll get back to you one way or another, either with an answer to your question, but at the very least, we'll definitely pray for your business. We'd love to help you. And if you're a Facebook fan, and maybe you're not big on email, go to Facebook. And Tandem Radio is on Facebook. And we'd love to hear from you there as well, no matter where you may be. It's always exciting to get those emails and Facebook messages from around the country. So we'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. We got a lot more in the next segment for you.
One, cut. Hi, my name is Cooper Ford from Tandem Radio, the good news on business. I want to thank you for joining us for this episode. Hopefully you've been getting some fantastic insights from Glenn and our featured guest. While we're taking this break, I want to introduce you to our website at tandemradio.com, where there's a wealth of information focusing on bringing Christian principles into the business world. First of all, we have some of our other archive shows that are on there, where you can see some of our past guests and listen to their shows. Second, we also have Ask Tandem, which is our shorter video segments focusing on specific questions related to faith and the workplace. And finally, we have our sponsors, like-minded businesses and professionals who not only share our mission, but also who want to serve you. So check it all out at tandemradio.com. If you want to get in touch with us, you can also email us at info@tandemradio.com. That's info@tandemradio.com. And we look forward to hearing from you. So thanks again for joining us, and let's get back to Glenn and the show. God bless.
Well, welcome back to Tandem Radio Live, the good news on business, helping you understand that God wants to be in your business every day. The scriptures for today, again, Habakkuk 2:2. Then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. Matthew 13:3. Then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. Galatians 4:18. It is fine to be zealous, provided the purpose is good. We're here today talking about video impacts your business and how video impacts your business especially. And we're with Robert Bucci, who's the president of New Response Marketing, and that's his specialty. And he has some unique insights. But Robert, to add to what we were already talking about, let's start with what has changed? What's going on out there in the market that's causing video to be so important to business today?
That's actually a very good question, because what's happening is that businesses have found, as markets get saturated, the difficulty for any business has always been, how do you set yourself apart? what's the way that you can make your product or the service that you provide stand out against your competition? And one of the ways that video helps is that it's able to represent you in a unique way, something that's very unique to your business, unique to the people behind your business, and it's something that your market does connect with. We're a visual society. We've, even our brains are wired that way. We work on a visual basis. So just seeing another ad or another, a few more inches on the yellow page is something that we're so immune to now.
Right.
And what we need is a different form of addressing what businesses need, is a different form of addressing their market. And video gives them that tool.
And so video literally has become a marketing tool where, before it was an entertainment tool. Now it's totally transitioned into what I think in the business application, a true marketing tool. So let's talk about that for a minute. Tell us about how video can be a marketing tool for a business.
Video can be used in a number of ways. The first successes that businesses are seeing is on the internet, where prior to using video, the only way to get on that first page of Google where your market would find you is either playing the SEO wars, trying to build a page that is deep enough and filled with so much content that Google says you're an authority and places you there, or you have to spend lots of money and you're in a bidding war, in that auction for those pay-per-clicks. What video does is that we're able to create a very targeted message, and Google recognizes this, and they know, because Google purchased YouTube so long ago now because they recognize the value of video. So Google is looking for information on video that answers their customer's question. Their customer is that searcher. But that works for the businesses that have direct customers who be looking for their product and services. What about the companies that that don't use the internet, or their customers don't use the internet to find them? Video can help you in these areas where you can leverage this either in your pre-sales cycle, sending out links to prospects that takes them back to a video, or you can use it in your after-sales follow-up. Maybe you've made that presentation, you've presented your proposal, yet you still want to make sure that you're the person that's top of mind when they're making their choices. And you can do that through video emails as a new technology. Now, from a manufacturer's perspective, one of the ways that they could use this is building this compelling video sales material that enables their reps and distributors to impact their markets. And making that easy on reps and distributors to sell a product. They're going to choose your product over your competitor's product.
Right. Well, and of course, I think we've learned over the decades that, you can hear something, you can read something, you can hear something, but then you can see and hear something, and it has so much more retention to the individual. And how many times can, we recall images we saw in movies, for example, and so forth. And sometimes we can't remember the title of the movie, but that image flicks in our head, right? So obviously there's a powerful retention base there used by matching up the video to your business. But let's talk about direct impact. Obviously, the title of our show, video impacting your business. What can a business owner expect when they take a video and put it out there? I mean, first and foremost, from a sales perspective, what do they expect?
One example, there's a very small business owner. He's a tile installer. And his conversion percentage after contacting a prospect, or maybe they call in because they see his ad somewhere, and he goes in to make a proposal, he was closing at about a 12%. That was his closing ratio. All he did was create one video. He put it into an email that he would send out to that prospect before he met them. So now, all the video said was, "Hi, my name's Ray, and this is what I do." And he had a couple of extra pictures of jobs that he'd done that were built into the video. And he closed the video out by saying, "I'm looking forward to seeing you." So now when he knocks on the door, the person opens the door, they already recognize him. They already have that feeling that this is someone that they're comfortable with. When he's sitting down at the table and talking to them, this is someone that they already have a small amount of trust, that it's not manufactured. It's something that we build in ourselves. It's the way we react when we meet someone's face and they're talking to us and we see that body language.
That familiarity.
Exactly. And what he saw is an increase from this 12% conversion ratio to 50%.
Wow.
Just from that one video email.
That's huge. That's huge. I know salespeople out there probably thinking right now, wow, if I could just double my closing ratio, I'd be doing huge, right? But here this guy went up a couple 100%. So let's talk now. You mentioned just one simple short video. Let's talk about the content for a second, all right? Length. What kind of lengths are these? I mean, we're not talking feature films here.
Oh, I know you don't want an answer that says it depends. It's certainly not feature film. In fact, if the purpose of the video is to have it on the internet for people to discover, that's a voluntary audience. They're going to watch it if they want to, and they're going to watch as much as they want to. So if you have a video that's more than 90 seconds, more than likely you're going to lose your audience before you get to your close. So anywhere from a minute to 90 seconds is, if you can get it in 45 seconds, that's awesome. Right. But the problem there is, how do you distill your message into such a small format? Now, if you have videos for sales material and you're sending it out to an audience that you already know, they're much more willing to watch a longer program. They're much more willing to watch a demonstration or a service type of video that shows them how to repair a product. They're already invested.
Right.
But if it's a sales tool, you need to keep it short. You need to give them something to look forward to. So the video is really a tool to get them interested, tell them that there's more information somewhere else, and drive your market back to you.
Well, again, I just want to remind business owners, especially if you're like myself and maybe you've been in business for many years, that you may say to yourself, well, I don't know, I don't really look for those things or whatever, but believe me, this is happening out there. It's working. I'm seeing it firsthand in my businesses. Even though I may not personally take the time to look for somebody in that realm, most people are. So you really need to realize that this is very important. And let's talk about that for a second, because I know the business owner often has odd perspectives about videos, or their own perspectives that many times are just not accurate. But let's start with actually creating the video. Do you find a lot of your clients are nervous about doing a video?
Most are. They understand how to talk face-to-face with a person.
Right.
But when they put a camera in front of them, suddenly it's different, and they have difficulty getting themselves into that position of service, or even into that position of sales that they're so comfortable with, if there's a person sitting across the table from them. There are ways, and in fact what I recommend to anybody is to, before you turn on that camera, in fact I'm trying to encourage you, even if you don't find a service like mine that's going to help you record your videos, that you do video for yourself, for your own company. And one of the best recommendations I can make is, before you turn on that camera, think about your favorite customer. Think about why they're your favorite customer. What is it about them that what did you help them achieve? What type of benefit did they get from your service? Get a good picture of them in your mind, and the feeling that you have for being able to facilitate the win that they experienced. When you talk to that person on camera, what you're doing is, the way that you would speak with them is the way that you would speak to other customers of that same quality. The reason why you speak to that person in that way is because you know they respond to that type of interaction. Well, those are the kinds of people who are going to respond to that message because you're speaking their language. Right.
I think it's funny because people tend to be overcritical of themselves a lot of times when it comes to video, right? You see yourself on camera, and all of a sudden, I'm too big, I'm too small, I'm too fat, I'm too tall, or whatever, But I'll tell you, one of the things that I think another side effect of these videos is you kind of can clean up your act a little bit, right? Wouldn't you see people kind of rise into the occasion when they know they have to do a video?
Yes, and actually that also creates some of that agita before they get on camera, because they're so worried about what happens if I stutter, what happens if I misstate something. Certainly you have the opportunity to go back and edit if you'd like, but also it's not so important that you are absolutely perfect. You don't have to be a polished actor on camera. In fact, it's probably to your detriment if you try to be. Right. Because what that looks like then is that you're a spokesperson. You're not the real deal. You're not the kind of guy that they can trust. Right. You need to come across as a human. When you're in a sales meeting and you're talking to a prospect, how often do you pull up a script and read from your script when you're talking to that person across the table? So it's okay to stutter a little bit. It's okay to pause to gather your thoughts. they see that, in fact, they see that you are being genuine.
Amen. And it's funny because I read something very recently about ums. And when you're doing public speaking, I've always watched myself to not put ums into my public speaking, but it says it makes you very relatable.
It does.
Sometimes it gives people a mental break when they hear the word Not that I'm telling you to inject ums, because most people inject too many, but I thought it was a pretty funny, interesting article about ums. But you're listening today to Robert Bucci, who is the owner and president of the New Response Marketing, and we're talking about how video impacts your business. And if you're not using it, you're missing out huge. It's almost one of those secrets I don't want my competitors to know, so hopefully none of them are listening today. But the point is, it is valuable, and that's what our show is all about, bringing you value to your business, something that you can use, and of course, pointing you to God's Word, which we can all use every day, not only in our businesses. We'll be back right after these words. Well, welcome back to Tandem Radio Live. Today we're talking about how video impacts your business. And if you're not using video in your business, well, you better stay tuned because we have a lot of great stuff for you. And it has a huge impact on business today. And if you're not using it, your competitors certainly will be, or maybe even already, and you may be missing out. So we're here with a person who's an expert in that area, Robert Bucci, who I've used personally in my businesses, and it's had an impact on our businesses. Sure. He's the president of New Response Marketing, and you can find out more information about Robert and his company at tandemradio.com, where there'll be a link for that. Tandemradio.com. You want to check into that. And again, we're the Good News on Business here, pointing you to God's Word, and also bringing in guests who can help you with your business on a day-to-day basis. So we're talking today about video and how that impacts a business, and let's talk about it from the technological side that most people don't view it from, and that is the SEO side. For those of you who don't know, SEO is search engine optimization, and if you're a business owner and you don't know about this, you're really behind the eight ball, because there's experts out there. You can be found as one of our sponsors. We'll take your website and make it so it can be found, with search engine optimization. But people are often surprised, Robert, when I mention to them that you can do something like this for video. So I don't know much about that area, but tell us, how does SEO and video tie in together?
Conceptually, the idea of search engine optimization is creating content in a way that Google can figure out what is this content about, so that now when their customer, the searcher, is asking a question, they're going to present to that person the results of the sites that are congruent with what they're asking. So in any piece of content, if you want your market to see it online, it has to be optimized in a way that Google knows that you applied to the question that was just asked. With video, it's the same idea. If someone is looking for a painter, and you create a video of you painting, but you don't say anything on it, Google's not going to know that. They actually understand what's being said. They transcribe every video, especially on YouTube, for their own purposes, so they know what's being said. But that's actually one of those tips to make sure that if there's a specific niche that you want this video to apply, you need to put those types of words into the dialogue that you say on camera. But the other types of SEO tips that happen with videos on YouTube, if you're familiar with YouTube, you get to put in a title about your video. So make sure that if you're trying to go after a house painting market, that you put the words house painting into the title. Maybe even your geography. So house painting, Monmouth County, something like that, into the title of the video. Into the descriptions, you want to talk about the services that you provide, so that now if someone is out there searching for faux finishing in Monmouth County, they're going to find out that your video is going to be ranked because in your description you said that you do faux finishing in the Monmouth County market. So making sure that you give Google the most opportunity to identify that your video appeals to or actually applies to the searcher's question is what optimization is all about.
And I just want to touch on two things that you touched on many times, but I want to clarify because a lot of business owners out there may not know this. You mentioned Google a number of times, so people might say, well, what do I care what Google thinks, Statistics show that 88% of people will Google a business before they use the company. Either they'll Google the search, or even if they know who you are, they'll Google you anyway. And, if you're the guy they're thinking of using and they Google you and you don't come up at all, you just went down a couple of notches no matter how good you are. So keep that in mind, that Google is important, and what they think about your business turns into more business if it's right. The other thing is you mentioned, which I think is amazing, which again, I know it's old hat to you, but a lot of people don't realize that Google, who owns YouTube, actually transcribes. They have software that actually transcribes every word on your video. And I mean, there's literally millions of hours of video going up every day, right?
Absolutely.
And the numbers are mind-boggling when you think of all the videos people are putting up, and it's just incredible. But think about that. Every word of every video, Google knows in its database what's said by an incredible software package that they've obviously created. It's just an amazing thing. So you talk about Big Brother coming alongside, right? But that's important for a business owner to know, because if you're ignorant to that, you could be losing a lot of tremendous opportunity. So it's very important to recognize that Google is important, and what they think of you and how they relate that to your potential clients is also very important. Let's go back a little bit here on videos themselves, Robert. We talked about people being nervous on videos, and we've all seen those videos. They can be comical sometimes. What are some tips you can give to some of the people that are listening that would help them when they create a video? Even if it's something simple where they flip open their laptop and they're doing a video in front of their laptop. But what are some tips that you recommend for people when they're creating a video?
When it comes to a visual medium, you need to make sure that you're showing a picture that flatters whatever the topic is that you're trying to get across. The two key things, especially with video, is lighting and audio. So, in fact, if I had to rank those two, I would actually say that audio is even more important than actually what you see on camera. If you can have a very, very visually impactful presentation, but if your audio is terrible, no one's going to listen. They can't understand your message. So have a decent microphone, but by decent, it doesn't have to be expensive. This could be just about any microphone that plugs into either directly into your camera, or if you're using your laptop to record your video, directly into your laptop. The types of on-camera microphones that are on most consumer cameras, if it's a few feet away from you in a room, it sounds like an echo chamber. From a lighting perspective, you do want to take a look at this. Maybe invite someone else in your family just to take a look at you before you record your video, to make sure that your eye sockets are not black because of the lighting overhead. You want a nice warm feeling, as if you're sitting in a room having a candid conversation with the person who's watching your video. So you wouldn't have that conversation in a black room. You're not going to hold a flashlight under your chin. You're not going to do anything like that, because you know that doesn't represent yourself very well.
Right. So as far as doing that, though, from that extent, these are basic tips. Right? I mean, these aren't things. Don't get me wrong. I should have started with go get a professional to do your video. That is really what I recommend to people. But if they're doing it on their own, are there any other things that you recommend? I mean, we talked about timing, right? You want to keep it under 90 seconds. Lighting is important. You don't want to be ominous, right? Anything else?
Sure. Again, what you say is important, because you are trying to get your message across. And most people do get nervous about, how do I stay on topic? What if I forget my lines? And they feel like they need to write it all out. But unfortunately, unless you're a professional, when you're trying to read from a written script, you sound like you're reading instead of being conversational. So what I always recommend is, instead of writing a full script, well, go ahead, write your script out. But then, just like back in school when you were trying to do those term papers, they told you to create an outline of what your paper is, essentially a table of contents. Remember, what you're going to be doing on camera is talking about your business. You know it pretty well.
Right.
So all you need are those thought starters, those talking points to be on paper. That can be even placed across the room. I like using the self-stick, big, huge Post-it note flip chart things, and I'll write the bullet points of what I'm going to talk about and paste it up on the wall behind the camera. So I can see that, and I'm still looking across the camera to see it.
Right.
And that just gives me the talking points. So I make sure I don't leave something out. I know the content around each of those talking points, and that way the dialogue comes across very naturally.
I think that's so important, and I learned that early on in public speaking. I used to write out my whole story, per se, and people would say to me, anybody could stand up there and read their story, So I switched to highlight points, and it brings your life into the story, and it makes it flow. And I think that's key to the video. People want to know that it's very natural and so forth. And I want our audience to know that video does have an impact on your business. And we're going to share some funny stories in the next segment that are not just funny, but the point is that they have an impact on a day-to-day basis on your business. Not only working when you're there, but working when you're not there. And that's one of the things I love about video is in business, how many times have you said as a business owner, boy, if I had another one of me, we'd be doing better, At least most of us say that. If you're not saying that, you shouldn't be in business, by the way. But if duplicating you and your efforts would be a benefit to your business, and it should be, video is a great way to do that because the video's out there working when you're not. So if somebody wants to check you out at 11 o'clock at night because they just happen to have a thought about what they need and they happen to go on Google, the video's working for you. You're not even there. And boy, what results that could have. And we certainly have stories in that vein. Anything else you want to tell us about the preparation, production value, or SEO side of the video application?
Let's stay on the production side. So you've got an inexpensive camera. Really, as long as it creates a quality picture, is good enough. The high-end Android and iPhones actually have a pretty good camera in them. You could do that, or maybe one of your kids could do it for you.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Getting that onto the computer, just when you're about to record your video, one thing that I always explain to people is pause a few moments with a smile on your face before you start speaking. Take a breath before you start speaking. And after you've finished your talking points, also pause for a few seconds. Don't move, just freeze. What that allows you to do is you're able to take it into a very simple editor on your computer. There's plenty of free versions for this. And that way you can chop off that frozen pause before you start speaking and chop off the end, the end pause, so you have a nice clean lead into your video and a nice clean out at the end of the video, so that they don't see the fumbling that happens behind the scenes.
Right. That could happen so often. Thank you, Robert. These are great, helpful tips. But as I said before, the best thing for you to do is to get a professional in there to shoot your video. They're not as expensive as you may think. I know sometimes people look at these short videos and say, man, they must have spent a huge amount of money. Well, when they're making a commercial for the Super Bowl, that's one thing. But when you're making one for your business, whole different ballpark. So whether you're a small business, medium-sized business, if you're not using video currently, you need to reach out to someone who can get an expert in, like New Response Marketing, who can make the difference in your business. You're listening to Tandem Radio Live. This is your host, Glenn DeLakian, here every Saturday morning. We're talking about video in your business, and we have a lot more good stuff for you in the next segment. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Tandem Radio Live. This is your host, Glenn DeLakian, here with the good news on business. And keeping that in mind, our scripture for today, Habakkuk 2:2, then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. It's so important to be able to get your message out there. And that's what struck me about this scripture, that God says, get your message out there and make sure that a herald can run with it. In other words, somebody else can tell the story. So keep that in mind when you're out there trying to get your business word out there. Matthew 13:3, then he told them many things in parables. I think that's so important. He even talked about, and he went on here to say, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. What's interesting to me here is, number one, that Jesus used stories to get his word out, and it's so important to use stories a lot of times in your video production to get the word out about your business. We're going to talk about some of those stories in a minute of how video has impacted my business and has impacted Robert's business. And it goes on here to talk about the parable of the sowing the seeds and throwing seeds into all kinds of soil, and I think that was kind of appropriate. I won't get into that in detail now, but think about that. Throwing your message out across a wide audience is so important. And lastly, Galatians 4:18, it is fine to be zealous provided the purpose is good. Sometimes we get a little nervous about it or self-conscious and say, well, I don't want to do a video. It's self-serving, of course, because you're in business, you need to be self-serving. But they might say, oh, I don't want to be on video for whatever reason. It's okay to be zealous, provided the purpose is good. You're trying to get your business out there. You're trying to do something positive. It's important to be out there and be zealous about your business, be bold about your business, and get the word out. And video can be a bold new step for you to help your business. Again, we're here with Robert Bucci, who's the president of New Response Marketing, and they're all about helping your business with video. And he has some great stories that we kind of joke back and forth about at different times. I want to talk about a couple of things in this segment, Robert. First off, I want to hit on a couple of applications where the video has actually worked, and I'll start. And then I want to talk a little bit about networking, because I know we have a networking group, Tandem Path Network, that you've done a lot of this type of work for, and I know it's had a big impact on us as a network group. And if you're looking for a network group out there, reach out to us, let us know. We'll help you with that. And also, it's helped a lot of the businesses in the group, a lot of the members, so we're going to talk about that too. But let's start with applications. You've heard me tell a number of different applications about video, but there was one recent one that happened to me where I was providing some services to a client that it was a group decision. And there were 6 people in on the group, and I got a call from one of the guys in the group, and he said, hey, 5 out of 6 want you in. The 6th guy, we can't get him over, and I'm not sure why. And I said, well, what did I say? Was it something I did? Was it my tie? Was it what? He goes, I don't know. He says, but he's the real decision maker, and although 5 of us are way behind you, this 6th guy just something about you that he doesn't want to pull the trigger. We need to have you come in again and meet with us again. So I said, no problem. We set up an appointment a couple of days later, and I went into the meeting, and it was so funny because the first person to greet me was that 6th person and gave me a great handshake and a welcome, and the first words out of his mouth after good to see you was, hey, I saw your video on your website. It was very informative and very helpful. And we sat down, and I closed the deal within minutes without any objection from this guy. And I thought to myself that after I left, what could have changed in the time that phone call to the time I met with them again? Because I really didn't do much of a presentation when we sat down. And it hit me, it had to be the video. The guy saw something in the video that pushed him into my court, that got me his vote to close the deal. And boy, that video paid for itself 10 times over that day. So if you're not sure how video impacts your business, there's an example of how it impacted my business. So Robert, I'm sure you have a couple of similar stories. Why don't you share one with our audience?
Sure. There's a local company. They have one location. They're a discount TV and appliance store. Mm-hmm. And it's literally a mom and pop. I think they have 75 years in business now. Wow. So it's a 3rd generation owner. And what they always had a local market. And actually, because of the reputation that they've built, they do have a very loyal following as well. What we used video for them was to help them with a Black Friday promotion. And we created a small video that showed what the deals were that were coming up for Black Friday, and we were able to get that out a couple of weeks in advance of Black Friday. Immediately from the Google perspective, we were able to see 4 and 5 links on that first page of Google if you were searching for discount TVs or appliances, things like that for Black Friday. But the real surprise for all of us was after Black Friday. I knew I couldn't go in there during that week. The store people were going to be harried because of all the promotion that was going on. But when I finally went in to see the store owner, she came running up to me holding up this magazine that she was so excited about, because it's the #1 industry magazine for business, the owners of these types of businesses, including the big box stores, like I'm not going to name brands, but the big box stores. And they're those CEOs and those sales VPs are also looking at this same magazine. And she had a a half page write up. But what they were saying is that small, one location, family-owned business beats out the big box stores in Black Friday promotion. And they had the picture, they had a link back to the video, they had a whole write-up about her store, and it all came from the content of that video. And that type of second layer of promotion and second layer of publicity is not uncommon for video.
It's amazing. It is a perfect example. Mom and pop shop beats out the big chains, and all because of a video that you produce for them. That is excellent. There's so many stories. I mean, at our last network group meeting, or the one before that actually, there was someone who told a story of how they got a call from a customer and couldn't for the life of them figure out how that customer had found them. And when they drilled down and finally asked the customer, they said, "Oh, I saw your video on this Tandem network," and they were just shocked. And I was shocked too, because of all the publicity this business does and all the website stuff presence they have and social media presence they have, it was the new video that New Response Marketing had created for the network group that we're in, and we have a directory there for businesses in the network group. It was that new video that you created that got her this business out of nowhere, and she made a comment to the group like, here it was, this video was working when I wasn't, that somebody was looking at this video on a weekend or something and called her out of nowhere. So, if you're wondering as a business owner, does video work? Can it really impact my business? Believe me, it can, and you'd be surprised the leverage you can get out of a video because it is still fairly new. Robert, would you say a lot of companies are catching on to this, or is there still a lot of room to go?
There is a lot of room to go. There are companies that are catching on. And what one of the concerns that many of our clients voice, as well as I'm sure many of the listeners may be concerned about, is, okay, have I missed the boat? Has that wave passed me by? And the answer is no. There's a lot of room on the internet for many companies. The key is to optimize your information so that your content stands out. What that allows you to do, though, is that you can create an advertising for a specific niche, or you can offer a specific type of product that serves for a particular purpose. When you create the right descriptions, identifying what that niche is, or record a video that's specific to that niche, when you may not be getting 100% of your market, or you may not be getting 100% of the searches that are looking for, let's stay with that painter analogy, but if you do a particular technique, you might get 100% of the people searching for that technique. And if that represents a 7% increase in sales, so we're not going to get a 50% increase in sales, but if that represents a 7% increase in sales, isn't that worth it?
Sure, absolutely. Very good. Now, I know you said you have a funny story you want to share with us, so why don't you throw it out as we come into the end of the segment?
I was creating actually some videos for promoting new response marketing. And at the time, we were also working on a training series to help business owners learn how to create videos for themselves. So simultaneously with creating the training series, I was also shooting a camera from an odd angle so you could actually see what was going on behind the scenes. And many people commented on the fact that if you looked at the training videos, if you looked at the videos that were marketing my business, it looked fantastic. There was the studio feel, a nice backdrop behind me. It seems like there's an incredible production crew that's involved in doing this. But the training video actually showed that I was kneeling on the floor in shorts.
Oh, that's funny.
The idea is that you don't need a large space or a large production crew to create a video, because all that's important for the viewer is what the camera sees.
Right.
So if you don't have a photographic studio, it's not necessary. All you need is a clean wall.
Right.
And sometimes not even that. In fact, if you are trying to create a brand, make sure that the brand is in the background. Whether it's a banner for your business or even the building of your business, you can do anything that's in the background is obviously going to be associated with a video. So you don't need to think about that. But you can record these things in shorts if you like.
There you go. Well, Robert, I want to thank you. As usual, this show has flown by. Robert Bucci, President of New Response Marketing. Check out the link at tandemradio.com where you can reach Robert. Robert, I want to thank you for coming in today. It's been a fun day again at tandemradio.com. Hopefully your business is taking home some information from the word, most important thing is to apply to you, and also maybe take some value. I'd like to thank Allie for putting it all together, our producer, and Hubert, who keeps the technical aspect running, and also Lucas for coming down to us today to help us out. Don't forget, Ask Tandem. Ask Tandem is a great video segment you can check out whenever you can, and spread the word to see what we do right here in Tandem to help you in your business.
You've been listening to The Good News on Business, a Tandem Radio live broadcast heard here on the Bridge FM radio network and streaming at tandemradio.com. Don't forget to join us every Saturday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and call us and email us with your questions, because we'd love to hear from you. You can also visit our website for the latest blogs from Peter and Glenn, along with other information about upcoming guests, events, and business opportunities. I'm Kevin Reeves, and from everyone at Tandem Radio, we hope that you have a blessed week, and remember, walk with the Lord every day, in every way.